Hello, hello. I'm not on the wrong screen. Hello. Yeah, so Indy, I just turned the YouTube chat on. I think it's working. Let me know if you can hear me. I think I can see the meter bouncing, but yeah. Yes, hello everybody. Nice to see people here already. Yes, Ghost of Bodafeld, you are correct. We did do daylight savings time last week. So that's why for you, it's an hour earlier than usual. Yeah, so I have to manually activate the YouTube chat. So it's always going to be behind everything else because I have to sit there and wait for it to become active. There's no automatic detection. Well, there is, in theory, it doesn't work. So I have to sit there and wait until it sees the chat as active. Then I have to manually click a button to activate it. So, hi! We're back doing the thing. So yes, we see, hang on, let me see. I got PeerTube, of course, Ghost of Bodafeld. Thank you for testing the Owncast chat. We know that works. PeerTube chat works, Twitch chat works, and YouTube chat works. All of the chats are working. I mean, you know, if only there was some alternative to YouTube. I'll skip the lecture this time, but hi everybody. We're back in the puppet pit. I guess this is the puppet pit. It's what we call it on the podcast. Or that's what we call the puppet section of the podcast. And I suppose this would, technically, my shop would be the puppet pit. The pit wherein the puppets happen. Here's the frog. Hello, hello. Look at it. We got people joining up here already. This is good. This is good. Shout out to the Gamers Tavern folks. I think a couple of them may indeed turn up again. They made an event on the Gamers Tavern calendar, which is great. And I'm going to keep doing that. So, yeah, stuff. Good things are occurring this week. Less good things. FYI, if you ever wanted a puppet from me, now's a real good time because I really need to sell a couple of things like ASAP because we're halfway through the month and it's not been good. So, hey, that would be great. I changed something else to work on the work computer. Fair. That is fair. You know. I know it's the Sisyphean thing. It's like just pushing the rock up the hill and then it's going to roll back. Whenever I start talking about this stuff, my throat's coming out already. This is a great sign for a 2-hour stream, huh? I'll just have to talk gently. Hello. Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, I could really use a couple of sales. FYI. And there's some stuff on the shop, including the thing that we are finishing today is going up on the general sale shop. And I sure hope it sells because I'm really, really proud of it and really happy with it. And if you've been on my socials, you already know what it is. But yeah, so we're going to be possibly finishing. We're going to come close to finishing it today. I may not want to do the whole finishing process because part of it's just kind of tedious. And that isn't great to do on stream. But we're going to do some little bit of design work, stuff I've done before, but we're going to just see how it goes. I know what I forgot to do. I forgot to turn on the glue gun. 1 second. Go to my smart plug. The smartest plug. Okay, glue gun is on. We've got to wait for that to heat up. Oh, not at first, but by the time we're ready to use it, it will be ready to go. Yeah, how y'all doing? Hope you all are well. It's coming. Yep, there we go. There's a little preview where we're going. Yes, it's 3 fingers and a thumb. Wonder why. Kevin hates fingers. All puppet builders hate fingers. FYI, if you're new, it is a standard, almost meme among puppet builders that we all hate doing hands. Fingers are the most tedious thing to do. And so we always try and find ways to reduce the number. Is that my smart bulb? You can tell and run on my schedule. So no, well, yes, it is. It's a smart plug. It's like, I don't know, I think it's a Philips Hue or something. I just like being able to monitor it remotely because it is a hot glue gun. So I like because I will forget and not turn it off all the time. So if I could just pull up a thing on my phone and go, oh, hey, the glue gun's on, or I can turn it off remotely, that actually is useful. Some of this stuff can be useful. Most of the time, no, it's bad. But anyway, yeah. We got stuff. I'm going to take it relatively slow today because what's left to do isn't much. So we're having a more or less chill stream. And this is the last thing I have to do on this puppet for this week. And then it's going to do the product photos tomorrow and it's going to go up on the shop and please somebody buy it. If I emphasized enough how bad I need to make a few bucks this month. This is the make or break month. I mean, not break because I ain't going nowhere, but nor is Operation Puppet. But things are real tight. So anyway, hi. Trying to think if there's no real news. Nothing's really happened since last week. Has it? Well, other than war and stuff, but was the war last week? I don't remember when the war started. That's where we are. Well, we're just going to ignore that because this is supposed to be the timeline cleanse. That's how I advertise it. And yet I keep finding ways to challenge myself with fingers, different colors, pronounced knuckles. Why do I do this to myself? Joe, I'm with you. Because I think the most elaborate hands I've ever done was that Nosferatu I did a few years ago. That was the deluxe. That took a long time. And again, pronounced knuckles. I hand stitched the whole thing. 3 fingers and a thumb. The whole thing. Also, Puppet to Mexico. Yes, absolutely. I gotta check because again, it's been 6 years and I've shipped hundreds of puppets, so I don't remember them all. I really wish I could go back in time for a few reasons, but start putting pins in a map because I never did that. So I have sold puppets to all over the world, and I don't remember. Also, you're not only making puppets, you also fit. Oh yeah, no, they're for sale. I do both. I do some for clients and I also do some for general sale. So, operationpuppet.com, there is a shop there where everything that is currently available for general sale is up and you can in fact purchase them. And that's one of the things I'm making today. So, but yes, to get back to what Indy was saying, yeah, I had a client buy agreeably who was in Mexico, and I'm pretty sure that may be the first one to Mexico. I don't remember, but it hasn't. At least it hasn't been a while. And the interesting thing that I realized over the past 6 months or so, I have sold more puppets to like Europe and Asia, and like I have sold more things to places that aren't America than I have in the previous 5 years. Like, that's probably signifying something. People are kind of trying to avoid buying American. I wonder why. We should do a tally board or something like that on Discord, I could, in theory, go back and like just check my whole, because a lot of it was like the first couple of years was on Etsy, and now I've also got the direct shop, but I can go back and look at all the records. It would just be tedious, take a long time, but it might be worth doing just for fun. I gotta have some fun. But anyway, should we get to the build, the actual puppet that we're talking about here and stuff? Why don't we do that? Let me see here. I'm gonna make sure that it's more or less in shot. We're gonna go to the wide cam because it's the thing that can get it all in view, but it is, drum roll please, I've already talked about this a lot. This is no big mystery. A purple monkey. It's just a purple monkey. Why did I make a purple monkey? I honestly don't know. So last month I was doing a commission for a client and I had to prototype a skull. And it was a dog, but it had like a muzzle. I see the legally distinct celebrity amphibian. Oh yeah, no, there's a couple actually, one of which is for sale. And so yeah, I had to prototype this skull that had like a muzzle, a very distinct muzzle. And as I was doing this skull, I came up with one version that was like, I just looked at it and went, this looks like a monkey. And then when I did that, I just looked over at my shelf of fur stock, and the first thing my eyes fell on was purple. And I went, well, I got to make a purple monkey. There's just saying purple monkey makes you happier, right? So there we go, purple monkey. I wanted to manifest it, and it is manifesting. So we're pretty much done. There's 2 things left to do on the purple monkey, and purple monkey's got really wiggly arms, so that's fun. I like this purple monkey. You know, purple monkey. What is, you know, what? There's nothing better. Well, there's probably a few things better, but not that many. So we're going to do 2 things. The big thing, of course, is purple monkey needs some ears, right? We're going to do some ears for the purple monkey. Purple monkey also needs a tongue, so we're going to do that too. I'm going to make both before I attach them. Attaching the ears is a bit of a thing, so we'll get into that when the time comes, should we get that far. But the first thing I got to do is like design and make the ears. And I'm going to do them relatively simple, but I do want a little bit of contour, a little bit of, they got to be a little bit fancy. Purple monkey deserves good ears. So, but let's have a look at purple monkey here. Do it in the face chat. Let's do it in the face chat. It's a purple monkey isn't small either. Purple monkey is a decent sized. Purple monkey. There we go. The nose came out real well. The way I did the nose, actually, I've done this kind of thing a couple of times, but I'm probably going to do it more often because I like it a lot. Basically, I did the skull, which is soft foam, so squishy. And then I carved the nose shape out of EVA foam, which is very, very stiff and rigid. And then I glued that to the soft foam, and then I put the skin over it. So I kind of stretched the skin over the shape, and it just kind of takes the contour really nicely. And then I took a needle and thread and I punched it down into where the nostrils were and sort of looped it around a few times. And so it makes these kind of inset nostrils. And then I just sort of shaded them with a bit of marker. But Purple Monkey almost sounds like a kid's song. Well, Purple Monkey dishwasher is a thing on The Simpsons, if I remember. It was a joke about broken telephone. And that's why, it also reminds me, for those of you who used the internet in the 90s, remember Bonsai Buddy? Bonsai Buddy was a purple monkey. Actually, probably a purple ape, but who's counting? Yeah, there we go. There's Purple Monkey. Purple Monkey, good. I'm going to do future iterations of this. I actually have an idea for doing a brow mech style Purple Monkey. Purple, could be not purple. There could be other colors of monkey, but purple is the best color of monkey, obviously. So there we go. Purple Monkey. But Purple Monkey needs ears. So that is the main objective of this stream today, is to make some ears for the Purple Monkey. But that's not going to take a lot of time. So I'm just going to go slow. I remember Bonsai Buddy. There we go. Yeah, turns out that thing was just malware. You know, that was just a virus. It was a virus disguising as a little cute purple monkey. I promise there's at least 30% fewer viruses in this purple monkey. Yeah. I wonder who owns Bonsai Buddy now. It's got, I bet you some like holding company, LLC owns Bonsai Buddy. I gotta move my monitor over actually so I can see it a bit closer to the camera. How's that for a pose? I had to look up Bonsai Buddy. It seems a bit like modern AI shenanigans. You're not wrong. It was kind of an early, like, it was sneaky, basically. It was a way to sneak malware onto people's computers that looked like a cute little character that was just like a desktop mascot, basically. It reminds me a bit of the thing that Razer just, speaking of AI shenanigans, the thing that Razer just launched, where it's like, here's your little anime girlfriend who lives in a tube. Because you've always wanted to keep a small woman prisoner, right? Ugh. It's just, yeah, I need a shower after thinking about that stuff. Anyway. But yeah, Bonsai Buddy is a whole thing. So the legacy of the purple monkey continues, I guess, is where we're heading forward with this. But to do purple monkey, I'm gonna see the overhead cam, which is the next thing we're gonna go to. I'm gonna take purple monkey and put purple monkey aside. I don't like the gender a character that I know I'm gonna sell on the shop, because that's not for me to decide. That's for whoever ends up owning purple monkey. So I will refer to purple monkey in the third person all the time. I don't know what purple monkey's gender or voice or name is. That's up to whoever ends up owning purple monkey. But let's go to the overhead cam. Actually, I'm gonna need purple monkey back in a second, because we're going to design some ears. Now the question, actually I need purple monkey back right now. And in fact, we need to go to a different camera. I am all over the place. Let's look at it. Let's look at purple monkey this way. So I got to stand up for this. I'm sorry. You can enjoy my Warframe t-shirt. So we need to do some ears. And of course, the first question is, how big? How big are purple monkey's ears? I think purple monkey would look good with some pretty sizable ears. Bigger ears would be cuter. I like the faux hawk thing too on the purple monkey. I think that's good. I might do a little fur styling. On the other hand, it's also nice to do it like this, or do real Planet of the Apes, kind of like, all brushed back. Let me tell you, Galen on Planet of the Apes, that chimp had some hairspray. It's another dated reference for you. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna sort of just do a vibe check about like how big do I think I want ears. Probably if I have anything that is about the right size. Nothing really. Maybe a roll of tape. Yeah, actually that's not too bad. Seems about right. Let's use this as a guide. This is just a roll of gaff tape. We're gonna use this as a guide. This is how you do things. You just improvise. You just look for what's around you. Oops, wrong camera. Overhead camera. Okay, here we go. So, we know we want it to be about that size. Also, my nose is running. Forgive me for a second. I'm gonna mute the mic. Okay, let me grab a pencil. So we know we want this to be about the diameter, radius, the profile. My chair is caught on my carpet mat not for some reason, I know the reason. We have carpet all throughout our apartment. It's actually a good idea because it helps mute sound, which is a good thing to do in an apartment building. But let me tell you, I do not want carpet in this room because there's fur and fibers and fabric and glue and just everything everywhere. So, it's a bit of a thing. But I do have a big mat down that my chair rolls on and everything. That's what I just caught on. There's stuff on the floor. Okay, let's just roughly get a bit of a circle here. So I've gone not quite 360 because we want to cut this off. Now the whole question is, do we want just a circular, or do we want, like, how ears have lobes and stuff? Do we want to maybe put a little more into it? Shape it a little bit? Bigger is probably better. I don't want to go too big. Not necessarily because it's wrong. I actually think it would be good to go really big soup plates. But there's another monkey puppet that I can't remember who does it. I see it on Instagram fairly frequently. I just don't want to look like I'm copying this other monkey puppet. So I'm trying to make this a legally distinct purple monkey. So let's do a little bit of a contour on the ear. Let's try this just to start with. All right, let's just go with that. Just try that out. This is how I do most things like this. I just like rough something out and then cut it out and see what it looks like. So that's what we're gonna do. This is a little bit smaller than what I intended to end up with, but you gotta remember, we're gonna make this out of foam and cover it in fleece, so there's gonna be sort of thicknesses added to it. So the template I always make a little bit smaller. Than what I intend to end up with. Now, I've just kind of guessed at the curvature of the head here. I think if Adam Krutinger's Arlo, it might be... Yeah, I think maybe it is Arlo. I remember Arlo, yeah. I've seen a couple of monkeys, and they both have like the big, almost Mickey Mouse style, you know. I'm just trying to avoid that. Okay, let's put... Not to be confused with the Arlo that does videos on Nintendo. Yes, I remember that particular character as well. Let's go to the wide cam again, because I really got to fix the delay on that camera switching. It shouldn't be like that. Well, let's see. Ooh, that's actually not too bad. How do we think? It's still big, and it should be big. Now the question is this curvature correct? I think it's pretty good. I don't know about the lobe. I have mixed feelings. I have mixed lobe feelings. We should probably try it without. Let's just try it without and see what it looks like. Can always put it back if we like it. I like it better without the lobe. That's an immediate like yes. So when you get that feeling, you just go with it. Immediately, no lobe is better than lobe. A motto to live by, folks. No lobe, better than lobe. And I think this direction is better. It's a little bit narrower. And of course, the question then is like upper, lower. Where are we going to do that? That's something we can decide later. But I think this shape is pretty good. So we got to make 2 of these. And overhead cam once again. So I only have a small amount of this kind of purplish pink that I did the skin out of. This is it. This is all I got. So we gotta get this right. So we're gonna do a couple of things. We're gonna do it in foam and then cover it in fleece. In order to cover it in fleece, I'm just gonna do a quick, just kind of like sandwich, sew it together. Kind of the same way I do hands. Most hands. If I'm not hand sewing the hands, which is a heck of a sentence, this is how I do them. We'll make sure we got the stretch going this way. Is it going to be enough width? Let's see. I doubt it. I doubt that's enough. Not enough breathing room for my liking. We need to have room to make mistakes because it's me. Guess what I do a lot. Okay, so there's the stretch. I'm just gonna square this up so we have something a little bit less chaotic to work with. Okay. Okay, so the stretch is going this way, which is correct. We want it to go across the shape, not up and down. And we'll do it like this. So we folded it in half. And we need to trace a couple of ears. I'm going to trace this with a kind of seam margin. Because we are going to make this in foam as well, so there'll be some thickness for it to go around as well as just this. So where is the thing what I need? How about this? Let's do that. So I'm going to trace around. I'm going to trace, like, I don't know, about a 1/4 inch or so. And that includes this seam here, which is the one we're not closing, because that's the one that's going to go. We have to make a little pocket. We're making a pita. We're making a fleece pita. It's the name of my new indie band. Fleece pita. All right, there we go. Do I have enough room to do the other one? Kinda, sort of. That'll be good enough. Good enough is all we need. So the question with the foam is now, if I were to make this in just polyfoam, it might be a little too soft, and I want a degree of rigidity in these. They need to stand out, right? So maybe we'll sew these up and cut them out and then go from there. Because what the internal structures look like may vary depending on vibes. So I gotta clip this together. Forgive me for standing up again. Occasionally I'm going to stand up. It's just the way it goes. Got some clips here. Clip this all together. Could use pins, but pins are pointy. This is why you come to the puppet builder expert, because you get pro tips like pins are pointy. And before I do the final cut, we're gonna clip this down here just to keep it all together. Does Nintendo Arlo still make videos? I haven't seen it in a while. I am not a Nintendo person, so didn't really pay attention. Nintendo Arlo still makes videos. Good to know. Weren't they like officially sponsored or something? I think I remember. They were actually doing okay, which is nice. We support more puppet creators out there. Okay, so now what we gotta do is just put this on the sewing machine and go zip, and then cut it out. Nice and simple, which is the best kind of thing. I gotta thread the machine, don't I? Yes, I do. Oh, we're gonna take the sewing machine in. Now, the question with the sewing machine is always, do I do the big wide cam in which you can see the machine but nothing else? Or do I try and do the close-up cam where you can see really close in but probably not too much detail and my big stupid fingers are always in the way? I don't know, let's try the close-up cam. I think it's the more interesting, or at least instructive view of what I'm doing. It's just, we're going to get, if you want rigidity, I use foam stabilizer. So what I would probably do is, I mean, honestly, we could just use the cardboard. Like this is just cardstock, right? So we could put this in, put foam over top of it. And then I also want like a ridge, like a, why can I not think of the, you know, the cartilagey bit of the ear that's folded over? I also want that, so I might do some of it in EVA. I'm not sure, but yes, you are correct. But if I was going to do just like rigid ears, like I've done this a lot, I'll just use the cardstock and use that as the core, and then possibly put foam around it and stuff. But you know, I mean, you probably shouldn't get it wet, but you shouldn't get it wet anyway, so ain't my fault. So I'm going to stick it on this camera. This is going to get shaky cam while I adjust it. Just FYI, I will warn you beforehand, but it will. I have no way of previewing this before I actually adjust the camera, so. Let me get the machine out here. Now, that looks great, isn't it? How about right there? There you go. Enjoy that corner of the machine. Let me just try, and there we go. I said I was going to warn you, and then I didn't warn you. I'm sorry. I personally can't stand shaky cam. That's why I always try and be mindful of that. But hey, sometimes the camera's going to shake, you know? Just the way it is. I need some purple thread. Where did I put my purple thread? Why, there's some now. Not a lot. We don't need a lot, but I've only got... This is not a lot. I do have more. Where did I put it? I'll put it up there. Let's go grab that, actually. Just to avoid on-stream disasters. So, here we go. We're going to thread the machine. I've already got a bobbin in here that's got the purple thread. So we are good to go there. I just have to get it loaded up in top. Threading the machine. And this is what I keep saying. The moment I can't actually thread the machine by hand with my eye, that's when I retire. When I can't do that anymore, that's the sign. You're ready to go. Drift off into the sunset, get the Viking funeral, etc., you know. But until that day, which it turns out is not today. I need some scissors. Forgive my blocking the camera there. Okay, we are ready to sew, I think. This machine's been having a nasty habit of breaking needles lately, so this is going to be full of tension. Good morning, hello! Stitch XP626, welcome. All right, let us sew. Oh, make sure I can reach the pedal here. Probably be real helpful. All right, here we go. Are we gonna break the needle? Let's find out. One ear done. The needle remains intact. It's exciting. You're on the edge of your seat, I can tell. Make sure this is still threaded. That would be bad if it weren't. There you go. Good, good. There's still some thread in the bobbin, also important. right, we did it. Both ears have been sewn. Oh no, it did come unthreaded. Gosh darn it. Right at the very beginning too. I gotta do that one all over again. I think this thread is very thin, and I think that might be the reason that this machine is having problems with it. I could probably futz with the tension, but that concerns me because when you futz with the tension, that's when you can break needles, and this machine has a nasty habit of needle breakage. And I don't have that many needles left, and no money to buy new ones, so, you know. It's a thing. Okay, let's try this again with the machine now hopefully threaded. Hey, it happens. Stuff happens. The whole point is to be able to cope with the stuff when it happens, right? All right. How are you going to behave this time? All right, I can see a stitch happening there. It looks like we're actually getting it this time. Okay, let's see what we're like now. Okay, that got it. There we go. Okay, both of these are done. So let's get rid of this. Go back to, I guess, the overhead cam. Move the machine. Here we go. Get another throat lozenge. That would be a wise move. So now that we've got these both stitched, and I didn't stitch up this line because this is the line that we're gonna A, attach to the head, and B, or actually A, stuff full of whatever the internal structure is gonna be, and B, attached to the head, so we don't want that closed. Just unclip it all, and then we cut them out. Hello Mr. Chansey, we are working on the ears. These will be monkey ears. The ears and the tongue are the last things left for the purple monkey. So we shall cut these out. First we're going to trim up the excess thread, like so. I hear they do need ears to survive in the wild. Particularly if you're purple, it's not a lot of camouflage in the jungle if you're purple. Purple monkeys have extra challenges. But that's why we love them. All right, we're just trimming this up. Like so. Riveting stream, I'll bet. And the usual. So, in terms of the internal structure, I do want a kind of cartilagey ridge. And I'm also going to shade it a little bit. I see the finishing touches of the puppet that's almost ready. That's one of the reasons why I moved the build. The build streams used to be like, I've moved them all around all over the week, over the years. I've settled on later in the week just because whatever I'm working on is probably close to being done by that point, and that's where the fun stuff really happens, right? That's where you get to do the facial features and the character really suddenly kind of comes to life. So that's the fun part. That's the part that's fun to watch on stream. So that's why I try and focus on that for the viewers. Okay, so there we go. We got a couple of little fleece pitas here. We will just turn those right side out. So these are pretty basic, and that's good. I like to keep it as simple as possible. There's a couple of approaches that we can take here. I could, and I have done in the past, and it works quite well. I'll just take the cardstock template. I'll make two of them, obviously, and just put that inside. And this gives enough stiffness and structure that it works quite well. Right, so now we've got like just enough there that this will hold its shape now. But what I want to do is I want to make like a little ridge that is around here. And I want to do it in a similar fashion to how the nose contours went, right? So I want to put something underneath there. If we make puppets, are we just puppets for the puppets? You know, I have often said that, you know, is it me or is it Frankie who's the character? Right? I don't think that's for me to decide, personally. So I think I will use the cardboard. The cardboard works well. So I'm just gonna make another one of these. Let me grab the cardstock here and we'll do another one. Just trace that up real quick. And where did I put my pencil? There it is. So this is the kind of most basic way of going about this. We are going to make it a bit fancier, though. We're going to go one better. Let me get the garbage scissors. Have you seen the Batman episode where there's a ventriloquist puppet who controls his puppeteer? There's an old, oh yeah, I think isn't like, there is a Batman villain who is just a ventriloquist, but I think it is like a demonically controlled or something. Or they probably just have psychological problems, you know, because they're a Batman villain, and every Batman villain is just a manifestation of internal trauma. That's why we love Batman. There's an old horror movie. I can't even remember what it's called. I think they did it on MST3K. That is basically that. It's a ventriloquist dummy who's like a demon or something, and or he's like a half ventriloquist, half hypnotist or something. Yeah, I think it's meant to be psychological. Yeah, of course it is. It's Batman, right? Trauma is the foundation of Batman, and also being a billionaire. And there we go. So there's how we're going to do the basic part of the ears. But I do want to add that ridge. So the question now is, I don't want to make these too thick as well. I want to keep them thin-ish because I want the ridge to really stand out. So how are we going to do the ridge is the next question. There's two ways we could go about it. We could make something externally and then like stitch it on or glue it on or something. But like I said, I want to make this closer to how the nose goes, and I want a contour that's inside that this fleece conforms to. So what I'm going to do, I think, is take our cardboard templates here, and I'm just going to carve some foam. But the type of foam is going to be the question here. This has some structure, but not a lot. This is just cardstock. So I don't want to get too heavy-handed with this. So I could just do soft polyfoam. The problem with that then is it's going to be like it's gonna smooth out as you try and get the fleece to sort of go around it. But that may not necessarily be a bad thing. Let me see. Do I have any sort of denser foam around here? I'm looking at my pile of stuff, of raw materials next to me here. So there's some EVA foam, and this is the extreme. This stuff here is EVA foam, and this is like the most rigid. I know best great here is the ventriloquist and his dummy Scarface. That's it. That's the one I'm thinking of. Split personality, ensure the technical, the modern technical term. I think it's schizophrenia, right? I think schizophrenia is basically, or split personality is a form of schizophrenia. Scarface is the dominant personality. Gotcha. Yes. I knew there was something in my brain that was going, it's this. I think maybe I will do the EVA foam. I'm liking the feel of this. It's also very light, so I'm going to be bold and try an experiment. This experiment may not work out, in which case I do have a backup plan. But I want to try just hot gluing some EVA foam to the cardstock. That could go wrong in a couple of different ways, but we're going to find out together, as I haven't actually done that before, so we'll just see how it goes. But the very first thing I need to do is I'm going to make a cardboard template actually, so I can get these even. So I'm going to draw out I'm basically going to make a copy of this and then draw what I want our ridge to be. Remembering, of course, that this is the bottom. See that? More or less, more or less, more or less. Okay. So what I'm going to make is basically a kind of C shape like that. And maybe we can go down to a point at the bottom. That seems logical. And I'm going to round it out and everything, obviously. But cut this out. I could also do the whole thing in EVA foam, but that will be a little too thick. Hopefully the glue gun is nice and warm now. Okay, so there's the shape I want to make in EVA foam. And then we're going to glue that to the cardboard backing. Now, this is all of the EVA foam that I have, so we must be judicious. The nice thing about EVA foam, it is quite rigid, but it's also, you can like mold it and shape it. You can use like a hair dryer or a heat gun to sort of, you know, shape this. This is used a lot in cosplay, in doing cosplay armor and stuff. So, split is now called dissociative personality disorder. Thank you, Indy. Anything really falling under split or multiple is under that label works in the field. That it comes up a lot. Oh, interesting. I did not know that. I should have known the dissociative thing. I fear I am a bit behind in my psychological turns, but if you want to know anything about Jungian psychology, you can ask me. Real modern stuff like that. I'm going to take a Sharpie here. We're going to move this up here because I have a plan for how we're going to save on too much wastage for the foam here. So we're going to go like that, and then I'm going to try and sneak it around like that to try and save the amount of, you know, stuff we have to cut out. So just going to nest them together. So to cut these out, I'm going to get my foam shears. This can be a little bit tricky to cut out. I'm going to cut the bulk out first with my big garden shears here, wherever they went. Where did I put those? Oh no, what have I done? These are in the wrong place. Look at that, I'm just all scattered. I'm just all over the place. Somewhere, where the heck did I put my... You're probably yelling at your screen right now. Here it is. Here it is, I found them. Stop panicking. So I'm just gonna bulk cut these out. Like so. And put these where I can find them again. And now I'm gonna take my proper foam shears, and we're going to try and cut out these two C shapes here. Oh, again, this is an experiment. I have no idea how this is actually going to go, so this is just theory is the wrong word, hypothesis. My hypothesis is that this should work just fine. And now we're doing the experiment to test the hypothesis, and if it works, then we will develop a theory from that hypothesis. That's what you come to me for. Technical scientific terminology and puppet building. Together at last. This is tricky to cut out like this, but I mean, the way that you often will cut out EVA foam is with like a box cutter or something, but that would be a little too, I don't know, bull in a china shop for this process. But there we go, that'll work. That's good enough. That's pretty good. Doesn't need to be super refined. Remember, this is going under fleece. This is just to provide a structure. I really got to empty my garbage in here. It's overflowing. Everything you see me tossing down there is usually just ending up on the floor. Working drug and alcohol rehabilitation, mental health goes up a lot, I'll bet. Also, well done you. That is extremely worthy work. And we salute you. Okay, so here we go. We have our ridge shapes. So the plan is, you know, the thing that will definitely work, is to glue these onto the cardboard backing like so. Then this is what we're going to put inside the fleece skin. And I may also put a little bit of glue in here so we can sort of tack down the the fleece so it will sort of lay nicely across it. That remains to be seen, because I am gonna, like, I would want to use barge for that, which means I gotta open the window and get the respirator and the whole 9 yards. So if I don't have to do that, I'd rather not, but we probably will have to do that. Just trim this up a little bit. It's a little too wide. All right, so I am gonna just use hot glue for this. It should be fine. I guess we'll see. Let me grab a piece of paper here. This is some scrap. I always try and put down something before I glue, just in case glue gets places glue shouldn't be. So hopefully this is getting hot now. And grab the stupid little glue gun. I hate this glue gun. I think I mentioned last week, or yeah, it would be last week, that I ended up by mistake with like a whole lot of the mini glue sticks. Didn't want to, is what Amazon kept sending. So I have to go through these now. I have to. This is a terrible little glue gun, but it's the only mini one I have, and I hate it. It's awful. But let's just try and get some of this done here. Got to work relatively fast because this is going to set up. And we want to get it on there while it's still hot. And there we go. So now we just got to sit here and like wait for it to do its thing. What I don't want, there we go. I don't want to glue it to the paper. Right, but we want to apply a little pressure so the heat of the glue will kind of melt the foam a little bit, and then will help it to adhere really strongly. This should be fine. This is, you know, pretty simple stuff. So, but after it's glued on, I want to like trim this a little bit and like, kind of smooth out the corners. We'll use the close-up cam for that, I think. But how we doing here? That seems pretty good, actually. That seems all right. Yeah, that's good and solid. All right. I think we have a thing. We're in business. Make sure I've got some glue ready to load up in this. This is one of the problems with the little mini glue gun is there's just not enough glue in it to do like a whole thing. And like so, making sure that we lift it off of the paper so it doesn't glue itself to the paper. Also being careful to not get glue on the fleece. And now we just wait. Where are we at? We're at an hour already. That's pretty good. I'm not going to attach these on stream, I think. I may show how I plan to attach them, but that part's just tedious. And I still haven't actually decided yet. I might just glue it, or I might stitch it. We'll see how this ends up. But I got a little bit of stickage, but that's all right. There we go. Here are our internal structures for our ears. And that's pretty solid. We don't want to mangle this, so we'll be nice and gentle. What I'm going to do now, maybe we can use a close-up cam for this. Move this out of the way here. We are, in theory, done with the hot glue now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of round out. Shaky cam warning. There we go. I'm just gonna round off. See how these have like real 90-degree angles? I'm just gonna sort of round that out and make it a little softer. And I used slightly smaller scissors for that. I have a whole set of scissors that are just for foam carving. Never want to use the good scissors on foam. See, all I'm doing is I'm just kind of snipping away and making this a bit round. I'm only going to do it on the outer edge. I want the inner edge to be more sheer, right? And this is where you got to start thinking in, you know, 3 dimensions. So, like, do I want this to be uniformly thick, or do I want to taper it off at the bottom here? And I think I do want to taper it off at the bottom here. So I'm just going to do that. Yeah. Yes. I think that will be all right. I know it looks crude, but don't worry, we're getting there. It'll be fine. Trust me. So same thing with this one. Gotta make sure we remember which is the top and which is the bottom here. The bottom is a little bit elongated. Now, the thing to keep in mind is once this goes in the fleece will also just kind of smooth everything out and you know, make the edges not sharp, and just gonna get it all mushy. So we don't need to get too fanatical about making this all round. As bits of EVA foam go flying up into my face. Story of my life, kid. All right, let's see. We'll keep it on this cam. Okay, this is kind of the little test here. How this is going to go, and what do we need to do next in terms of glue. And also, this might be a little large. We may actually have to trim this down a little bit. Ooh, this is actually looking, that feels quite good. I think we have a winner. Yeah, that's holding its shape quite well. So what I want to do is I want to get this sort of tacked down here. Right, so as you can see, it's looking pretty good, but I want to like make this ridge more pronounced, obviously, because it's, you can barely see it like it is. So what I want to do is I want to get some kind of glue in there and then tack this down. Now the problem with that is if you use too much, it's going to soak through the fleece, and then you'll see it on the outside, and that will be terrible. You don't want that to happen. But if you use like something like hot glue, of course, would just soak right through. So we wouldn't want to use hot glue. Using something like barge is probably the right call, but it's very fiddly, and I think it would actually kind of be hard to control. So what I'm actually tempted to use here is a little tiny spritz of spray adhesive. This could go wrong, but it probably will be okay, and we'll just have to try it and find out. Again, I've got enough materials to make more of these if it does go wrong, so I would rather give it a shot and find out. The good part of that is I do need to close the door and get the window open, but I don't need to put on the respirator for the spray adhesive, which is my preferred way of doing it. So all I'm going to do, hot glue just makes the earwax totally natural. You know, you're not wrong. You know, if I was doing like a monster or something, that may even be something to lean into, right? Good point. But yeah, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to sort of open this up, do little spritz of spray adhesive in there, let it sit for a second, and then sort of tack this down. And hopefully that will get us where we want to go. Let me stuff the other ear first, actually. Which is the top, which is the bottom. one of my, speaking of that kind of special effectsy thing, one of my more recent realizations, or at least not realizations, but I think slight discoveries is, so, long story, I am on a calorie restricted diet because I have diabetes, and so I have to find, you know, ways of getting stuff that is tasty and good and yet low-cal. So I've started making various types of dip, but in order to thicken it, I can't use starch because of diabetes, but I've been using xanthan gum, which is very, very helpful and a very good thickener. And if you mix xanthan gum and just water at any temperature, Suni, hello, nice to see you. You basically make like this slime that looks identical to like the stuff that comes off of the Alien. And I'll bet you any money, I don't know, you know, maybe Indy actually might know, one of the various things they may use for like monster slime or whatever in the movies. But I would not be at all surprised if it was like xanthan gum and water, because it's like I can just make slime. I can just make like this really viscous slime that is perfect. Sudi tunes in, we're talking about slime for some reason. What? Monkey ears. We're making monkey ears, Sudi. Which is a nicer topic than viscous slime. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let's go to the overhead cam. Let's get set up to get the ye good oldie spray adhesive. That's where we're headed now. We got to be very, very light with this. This could go wrong. If it does, welcome to how things go wrong. The live stream. I'm going to make sure I have the door closed. I'm going to open the window to get some ventilation. And while I do that, if you'll excuse me again, I'm going to mute the mic while I blow my nose, because it's just it's a Kevin thing. One sec. On my long list of medical things that are just weird about me, my nose runs very easily. I think it's related to the need for throat lozenges as well. The live streamer who talks a lot and also podcasts has to keep up with the throat lozenges. Otherwise, my voice just goes. All right, I'm opening the window here. Wonder if the daycare will be able to get screaming children. Seems to be quiet. All right, window is open, fan is on. So the plan is take the spray adhesive, do a little spritz in there, just a little tiny squirt, let it sit for a second so it's not completely liquid, and then sort of tack this down and make this contour be more pronounced. That's the goal. Whether or not we actually get there, we will see. I do want to use gloves for this, which means the rings have to come off. Stupid goth always putting your rings on. Okay, before we do this, a last swig of coffee. Look at how blown out my camera is now. You can tell I have the window open. Suddenly, sunlight. All right. Getting some gloves on. I'm not going to put up, I have like a cardboard spray hood, basically, that will baffle to stop spray adhesive aerosolizing and going everywhere, but I don't think I'll need it in this case. I certainly hope not. We're about to find out. There have been times when I've been using spray adhesive and it has really just aerosolized a lot. And it's terrible because it just floats in the air and then it will settle. And so like I had like my whole arm just felt sticky like afterwards. It was not nice. So I try to avoid that. Okay. Gloves are on. Shake up the spray adhesive. Make sure the nozzle is clean while pointing the nozzle away from face. I'm gonna move the monkey out of the way here. And I'm just gonna spray this, like spritz it into the garbage can to make sure we got the spices flowing. Okay, so the goal, the plan is little spritz, let it sit. Little spritz, let it sit. As the old saying goes. Like so. Like so. Okay. Now don't touch it. We do not want that to soak through. Keep the gloves on. I'm actually going to hit it with a hairdryer. Just for a second. Now is the moment of truth. So now it's grabbing in some places but not others, but that we can work with. And that actually looks pretty good. Yeah, okay. We got something here. Not exactly what I wanted, but pretty close. It looks like I just gotta have better aim. This may be enough though. I think this is enough. You know what? I'm not gonna do any more than this because this is looking good the way it is, and I don't wanna ruin it. And this will certainly get us to where I want to go. So let's go with this. This is good. This I like. So I think you can see that. Look at the nice contour on that. That's pretty nice. I like. I kind of want it at the bottom here too. I don't know. Should I risk it? I don't want to risk it. Don't be a fool. Now I'm going to, I don't need the gloves anymore, mercifully. I also don't need the fan anymore. So I'm going to turn that off and at least close the curtain, if not the window. That way the camera is a little bit less ghostly. Because now I'm going to take a marker and do a little bit of shading in here to really kind of bring out the ridge. Now the question is, I've only got some of this kind of reddish color out here, but this is pretty pink. This might be enough, although I do have more markers. They're completely buried under my fabric piles here. Actually, I don't know where they are. All right, never mind. Plan B. So, yeah, I'm going to go with this. So I've got, there's a darker color. Make sure it's a darker color or a contrasting color. And I've got a little makeup applicator. And I'm going to lightly put some ink in here. And before the ink dries, I'm going to kind of smooth it out and gradiate it. And I'm going to put the majority of the ink in the place along where the ridge is the most pronounced, and that will kind of help. And you can see already, you can see the shading on there, how much that adds. It's quite remarkable. You don't want to overdo it. Just want a little bit, just go with a light touch. And this marker is nice because it has a kind of brush tip. I don't think I actually need a makeup applicator at all. This is quite nice gradation here. Right? Right? See, it's like, it's the little things. It's little tiny things you would never even think are a huge deal. Just add that little bit of extra quality. All right, so there we go. I think that's good. I'm gonna smooth it a little bit with the makeup applicator just because I got it out for a reason. So. Another thing you can do if you really want to make a super duper gradient is you can do this technique, and then you can take a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and that will kind of dilute the ink and let it smooth out. I don't need that in this case. This is pretty good as is, but just to kind of smooth it all out, right? I think this one's upside down. They're both upside down. Here we go. Here we go. A couple of ears. So now comes the real test. Now we're gonna get the monkey. You ever got a monkey? One purple monkey. Here we go. And now we're just going to do a little fit test here to see how these are going to look. Because I think these are, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Hot dog, we have a wiener. There we go. Thank you, Indy. Yeah. So in order to attach these, there's two ways we could do it, right? We could stitch it or we could glue it. Stitching it is very tedious and takes a long time and is very fiddly because we're going to be stitching from the outside into fur. So what we have to do, in both cases, we have to do this part. We have to mark where the ears are going to go and then cut this fur and shave it right down to the netting, because that's what we're either going to stitch or glue onto. That's the part I'm gonna save for like after the stream and after lunch, to be honest. So we won't be doing that on stream, but I still haven't decided if I want to stitch these or glue these. But yeah, that's one heck of a monkey right there. This is a good monkey. I am very proud of this monkey. But before we do that, the very last thing after I get the ears attached is, of course, monkey needs a tongue. And this is a special monkey. This isn't your average run-of-the-mill purple monkey. So special monkey needs a special tongue. So I'm gonna do my good old standby that I love to do, carved dyed foam. So this is just standard polyfoam, upholstery foam that has been soaked in some red dye and is now therefore red. And we're gonna do some carved foam. I've done this before on stream, but we have some new people, so. But this is one of those cases where it's like you wouldn't even think it adds that much, but you will be shocked at how much this adds to the puppet. So I've got these heart-shaped, I think I demonstrated this last time actually, or I demonstrated this with a craft foam last time. These heart-shaped, these are leather punch dies. Now, the mouth isn't all that big, so I don't want to do a big one. This looks about the right size. Just eyeballing it. So I'm going to cut one of these out. And you do that with a mallet. Excuse me. Hope that didn't peak the mic. Oh, it sure did. I apologize. So being careful to not hammer your fingers. This is a cutting mat, so it's okay. We just cookie cutter out. Is that enough? That is enough. Okay. And now we have a heart-shaped red foam bit. And now we're going to do a little bit of carving. Let me see at the size. I don't know. I may do a different one, but I'll finish this one regardless. And if it doesn't work, I'll put it aside and use it in something else. But, you know, let's go to the close-up cam. Here we go. Forgive the shaky cam. Well, you don't want a heart-shaped thumb? No, that's the Nirvana song I didn't release, right? So there we go. We have this heart-shaped piece of foam, and I'm going to get my little scissors here. And the first thing I'm going to do is trim the bottom off so we don't have quite the point like that. And then we're just going to start kind of rounding out the corners and smoothing them down. You just do little tiny snips, and you know, it looks crude, and it is, but we will deal with that in a second. Fear not. And the more little tiny snips you do, the smoother you can get it. You can do a whole puppet in carved foam using this technique. And in fact, I know several who have. And in the early days of the Muppets, when they wanted to do a carved foam puppet, this is how they did it. Because there really wasn't any other choice. It is very tedious, takes a very long time. The other thing people don't usually realize with foam is you can actually sand this stuff. We're going to do a variant of that, but foam is sandable. Gently and with a very fine grit. Story of my life. All right, so we're starting to get some rounded shapes here. I'm also going to cut a ridge. Not going to go all the way through, but we want the little kind of split in the middle there. So just make a little ridge down the middle. Now this is good enough here. We can start smoothing it now. And the way, this is one of those puppet builder's secret weapons, is a variant of sanding, which is using, sure I've got the cables all tangled here. This is a sweater defuzzer. This is basically a bunch of spinning blades with a grate, and this will just kind of like smooth out the foam. It's going to be a bit loud, so. And it's quite remarkable, with a minimal amount of work, how smooth. I just did this side in comparison with that side. It was out as a beard trimmer. Yeah, it's pretty much exactly that. But I do all kinds of things with the sweater defuzzer. You can make nice, very gentle, smooth curves. A little bit of the dye didn't get all the way through there, but we can fix that. I thought I was shaving myself for a moment there, you know? Wouldn't you know? Maybe not. All right, that's pretty good, actually. So, the last step, hang on, let me just see if we're gonna actually use this. Oh, you know what? That's pretty good, actually. We'll go with that. Is to take that marker that we just had, and we're gonna add some shading into this. So, this is gonna be extremely subtle, and I suspect the camera may not pick this up very well. But I'm just putting some ink down into the split and around the edges, and also kind of smoothing it where the dye didn't quite take. Just kind of blending that in. I don't mind it if it's a little bit uneven. I like a bit of unevenness in general. Yeah, that's kind of, well, you can kind of see the shading. You just want a little bit of darker shading in there. And this is where another place you can do the rubbing alcohol trick. I remember BJ Geyer talking about how he's colored a whole puppet with just marker and rubbing alcohol before. And you can do some really sophisticated like shading and gradients and stuff. This is just kind of a quick and dirty version of that, but it's kind of hard to see on the crappy camera, but trust me, it's there. So now let's go to, I guess we'll go to the wide cam and give this a little test fit here. Yeah. Yeah. Now the thing you can't see in this camera very well is since it's carved foam, it has some depth, it has some thickness. I'll put this in the better camera momentarily. But I'm just going to hot glue this in, and it'll just take a second to set up, and then I'll switch to a better camera so you can actually see what this thing looks like IRL. So let's put a little dab of hot glue on the bottom, being very, very careful. And the nice part of doing a carved foam tongue, I'm just going to press it down for a second, is since it is carved foam, the foam will just collapse when you close the mouth. So you don't have to worry about noise, particularly. If you were to use something like rigid plastic, you'd have noise when the mouth closes. Loud puppets are bad puppets. So let's go to, you know what? Actually, this is going to be a harsh transition. But there we go. Let's go to the really good camera. Now remember, it's good to have ears. Oh, I just brushed the mic. My apologies if you heard that. Out of focus. Out of focus. Here we go. Okay, there. I know the lighting is a bit weird, but there we go. You see how much that adds? It's really astonishing. It's just a little bit, but here we go. One purple monkey ready for ear attachment. So it's a harsh transition. Yeah, there we go. Purple monkey got a tongue. Purple monkey going to get ears after I've done lunch, because it's going to take a little while. I think I do want to stitch it. Which is just tedious. To be honest, I don't need to do that on stream. So that will kind of do it. Where are we at here? 11:30, not too bad. It's an hour and a half. That's about right. Add to the personality, definitely. I know, it's like, it's really, I remember the first time I built a couple of puppets, I didn't bother with the tongue. I didn't think it was a big deal. And then the first time I did, I was like, oh, wait, hang on. That's considerably improved the quality, or that's the feel, right? But yeah. Yep. Here's good.
It is good.
Okay, I am gonna call it there. It's a little bit shorter than a usual stream. I usually try to go for 2 hours, but an hour and a half is pretty good as well, because I got stuff I need to take care of. So yeah, another good one. Thank you very much. Special shout out to the Gamers Tavern folks for showing up. Y'all are the wind beneath my wings, etc. and so on. OperationPuppet.com for all of the links, the usual stuff. Like and subscribe, you know, all that nonsense. We are recording a podcast tomorrow night, so there will be a new podcast out on Saturday morning. Once again, we'll try and get to some game streaming this weekend. Once again, I don't know. There's stuff happening, but you know. Thank you, Ghost of Bodefeld. Okay, I am actually going to head out now. I'm going to try and keep this shorter than I usually do. I'm bad at ending things. Turns out I am bad at ending things. Go buy puppets, please. God. Anyway, we will catch you next week. Hope you have a good weekend, etc. And if we don't see you before this weekend, enjoy your week, and we will catch you next time.